earlier, we did tell you about the increase in the price of premium motor spirit, otherwise known as petrol, by the Dangote Petrochemical Refinery. Now, joining us to discuss this development, we have George Brown, an oil and gas analyst. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Brown, and thanks for joining us on the news.
Good afternoon, viewers. Thanks for having me.
Now, Mr. Brown, what role does Dangote's involvement play in the increase of petrol prices, and how does the local refinery impact the supply chain and retail fuel prices in Nigeria? Is this how prices will fluctuate anytime Brent crude oil increases in the international markets? Is this something we have to get used to?
Okay, thanks. You've already set the template with the right responses. We will continue to experience price fluctuations because the domestic market has been deregulated. And because the domestic market has been deregulated, though the product is sold by the NNPC to Dangote Refinery, in this case, in Naira and not in Forex, in foreign currency, it is the Naira equivalent of the cost in dollars that Dangote refineries will have to pay to the suppliers, in this case, NNPCL. So what we will continue, and we need to adjust to this fact or reality, is that we will continue to experience fluctuation in prices of the commodity, because first of all, it is a commodity. The crude oil is a commodity itself. So there are going to be times when the OPEC benchmark price by the barrel will drop. And when it drops domestically, we should also expect to have a drop in pricing as well. But the issue that I think Nigerians need to really interrogate is that PMS is not the only byproduct from crude oil. Of about 9 to 10 major byproducts from crude oil, PMS is just one, and PMS happens to be the largest percentage chunk from a barrel of crude oil. So let's say, for example, a barrel of crude oil is, let's say, at the last pricing before this new price increase of $80-something, it's around $78 to the barrel. At that time, yes, if we do a small summary, we can say in Naira terms, since Dangote is buying in Naira, he buys that barrel of crude oil at about 818,000 Naira. 818,000 Naira. Crude oil is about, PMS is about 50% of the byproduct from a barrel of crude oil. And a barrel of crude oil is about 160 liters. That's what makes one barrel. So about half of that 160 liters gives you about 90 liters of PMS. 90 liters, that's just one product. It gives you about 90 liters. And if at the last price of 998 at the gantry of Dangote Refinery, at the gantry, by 90 liters, that gives you a total of 89,820 Naira from only PMS that is produced from that one barrel of crude oil. It gives you 89,000 Naira, 820. You also have the middle distillates like diesel, like jet fuel, and kerosene. And amongst these three other products, kerosene is the most expensive. Kerosene is about 2,000 Naira a liter. So at the end of the day, we look at these four products, namely PMS, kerosene, that's household kerosene, Jet A1, which is the
aviation fuel,
kerosene, aviation fuel, and the diesel. Now, if you put all this together, excluding LPG, the total amount in Naira, in terms of one barrel that we're using as our basis and our benchmark for this calculation, is around 160-something thousand Naira.
Now, George,
and the margin is around 29,000 Naira from each barrel. We've done this calculation. It's about 29,000 Naira from a barrel when you produce only four products. That's what you get. So the other byproducts are also other streams of income from that barrel of crude oil. So in actual fact, BMS is not supposed to be more than 500 naira per litre at the pump. It's not supposed to be more than 500 naira.
Now, talking about pricing, George, what regulatory frameworks or government interventions exist currently to manage price fluctuations in the Nigerian fuel market? How might these be adjusted to respond to such price hikes? Because we understand the nature of business in Nigeria. Sometimes when this global price of Brent goes up, the petrol stations would not sell their old stock. They would immediately start implementing the new price without exhausting their old stock. And if the case happens to be otherwise, if there was a drop in the global price of Brent crude oil, we won't see such speed in reversing or in adjusting the pump. So where's the government protecting Nigerian consumers here?
Okay, the government cannot control or fix pricing because the market is deregulated. Dangote Refinery made the announcement yesterday at around 5 p.m. yesterday, and in the press statement that they made by sending mails to their off-takers, the buyers of the bulk buyers of their products, they stated that even their old stock will automatically be sold at the current price at the gantry. So the government or the regulators cannot over-regulate because the market is fully deregulated. So price control, the government or the regulator cannot do price controlling. They can only have understanding with Dangote because, believe it or not, Dangote right now has monopoly of the market. Dangote is not in competition, but the importers of refined products are in competition with Dangote, and they don't stand a chance in competing with Dangote. So Dangote fixes the prices, and when he fixes the prices, they will want to play catch up because of the costs that they incur in importing the product. His product is domestically produced. His crude oil, we hope and we believe that he gets adequate feedstock domestically from our oil fields, and those other attendant costs that comes with importation are no longer existing. So what happens to the product at the pump? The product at the pump should not be more than 500 naira. I say this with every sense of integrity and every sense of decency, that the product is not supposed to be more than 500 naira at the pump. However, you also need to consider the dynamics of having a product being sold in Nigeria that at, for example, 500 naira, and the neighboring countries where the products in the past used to be smuggled into are buying it higher. So what is the incentive for the product to be sold locally and not being exported illegally, which is called smuggling? So what are the incentives? These are the bottlenecks and the dynamics that affect the market. So Dangote, as a producer, is also considering the neighboring countries that Nigerians might decide to begin to buy this product at that cheap price, take it across, and sell it for 700-800 naira when you're buying it for 500 naira. That's a huge incentive to go into smuggling. So all those things will be considered when fixing the pricing. And don't forget that the regulator receives a certain percentage per litre. It's paid to the regulator, even though the regulator did not provide any incentive.
Yeah, so this cost passed on to the consumers.
That business. Sorry?
I believe this cost passed on to the consumers.
Of course, the final cost is passed to the consumer because NNPCL is not producing anything, but NNPCL sits down as a big father, as a big brother, and collects a certain percentage from each litre of petrol, AGO, and kerosene, everything up to diesel. The NNPC takes a certain margin from each litre that the end user buys.
Thank you so much for your time and expertise, George Brown, oil and gas analyst. It was a pleasure speaking with you on this subject. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks.